Brianna Maitland was born October the 8th, 1986 in Burlington, Vermont, to Bruce and Kelly Maitland. She was raised with her older brother on their parents' farm in East Franklin, Vermont, near the Canadian border. In her youth, she was extensively trained in jiu-jitsu. Maitland attended Enensburg Falls High School in nearby Enensburg Falls during her sophomore year. On Brianna's 17th birthday in October 2003, she decided she wanted to move away from her parents' farm. Her mother Kelly said there was no serious stresses at home, but that Maitland wanted more independence and to be closer to a group of friends who lived 15 miles away and attended a different high school. Maitland enrolled at her friend's high school, but her living arrangements were unstable as she moved in and out of several friends' homes. By the end of February 2004, she dropped out of high school and moved in with her childhood friend Gillian Stout in Sheldon, Vermont. To complete her education, Maitland enrolled in a GED program. 3 weeks prior to her disappearance, Maitland was physically attacked at a party by a female former friend, Keely Lacrosse. The motive for the attack was unclear, though Brianna's father Bruce would later state that he believed it stemmed from jealousy over Maitland's interaction with a male peer at the party. One of Maitland's friends at the party claimed that Maitland, despite her martial arts training, refused to fight with Lacrosse, who subsequently hit her in the face several times while Maitland was seated in a truck. The altercation resulted in Maitland suffering a broken nose and concussion. She later filed charges against Lacrosse. The complaint was dropped 3 weeks after Maitland disappeared, and police stated that Lacrosse was cleared of any involvement in her disappearance. On the morning of Friday, March the 19th, 2004, Brianna took an exam to receive her GED. After completing the test, she and her mother, Kelly, had lunch to celebrate the occasion. Her father, Bruce, was out of state working in New York at the time. Her mother described her as being in good spirits and that Maitland had discussed plans of attending college. After lunch, Brianna and her mother spent the afternoon shopping and running errands. While waiting in the checkout line of a store, Kelly said that something outside caught Brianna's attention. She told her mother she would return shortly and left the store. Kelly completed her purchase and met Brianna in the parking lot and noticed that her daughter seemed unnerved, shaken and agitated. She told her mother that she needed to go home and prepare for her upcoming work shift at the Black Lantern Inn, a restaurant in Montgomery. Not wanting to pry, Kelly did not ask what had happened and dropped Brianna off at Stout's home between 3:30 and 4 p.m. This was the last time she saw her daughter. At some point before leaving for her work shift, Maitland left a note for Stout saying she would return after work that evening. Maitland then departed for the Black Lantern Inn in a 1985 Oldsmobile sedan registered to Kelly. After completing her shift at work, Maitland clocked out and left the Black Lantern Inn at approximately 11:20 p.m. She told her co-workers she needed to get home and rest before working the next day at her second job in St. Albans. By all accounts, Maitland was alone in her vehicle when she left. Early the next afternoon, on March the 20th, a Vermont State Police trooper was dispatched to an abandoned house on Route 118 in Richford, about a mile from the Black Lantern Inn. Maitland's Oldsmobile was found backed into the side of a house known locally as the Old Dutch Barn House. The siding of the home had been breached by the rear end of the car. A piece of plywood that had been covering a window lay on the car's trunk. 2 of Maitland's paychecks were on the front seat of the car, and outside it, law enforcement observed loose change, a water bottle and an unsmoked cigarette. The trooper assumed the car had been abandoned by a drunk driver, and a towing company took the vehicle to a local garage. Brianna was not reported missing for a number of days. Her mother, Kelly, did not learn about the discovery of Maitland's car until 5 days afterwards. Stout saw Maitland's note on Friday, March the 19th, but spent the weekend away, and found the note undisturbed when she returned on Monday. Assuming Maitland was staying elsewhere, she did not call Kelly until the following day. On Tuesday, March the 23rd, Kelly began calling various people in order to find Maitland, including friends as well as their employers, none of whom had seen or spoken to her. Failing in her efforts and still unaware that the vehicle Maitland had been driving had been recovered, she filed a missing persons report that day. Maitland's parents gave photos of her to Vermont State Police in St. Albans. A trooper showed them a picture of the Oldsmobile found at the Old Dutchburn house, upon which they immediately identified the car as their daughter's. Kelly said in interviews that she believed someone else, not Maitland, had left the car in such a way. After Maitland's reported disappearance, several individuals came forward to law enforcement to report sightings of Maitland's vehicle at the Old Dutchburn house the night she disappeared. A man who drove by the house between 11:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. said the car's headlights may have been on. He said he did not see anyone in or around the car. A second man who drove by between midnight and 12:30 on Saturday, March the 20th, recalled seeing a turn signal flashing on the car. Around 4 a.m. on Saturday, March the 20th, a former boyfriend of Brianna's drove past the scene after a night of partying across the border in Canada. He thought he recognised the vehicle, but he did not see anyone in or around it. The next morning, some passing motorists found the scene odd enough that they stopped and took pictures of it. One of the photographers reported some loose change, a water bottle and a bracelet or necklace on the ground next to the car. The Vermont State Police, who led the official investigation for the first months after Maitland's disappearance, were sceptical that foul play was involved, considering the possibility that Brianna was a runaway. The area surrounding the Old Dutchburn house was combed on foot by police and search dogs, but nothing was found. Maitland's vehicle was processed by the State Crime Laboratory for evidence on March the 30th, 2004, after the car had been impounded at a local garage for several days. Upon the car's return to the Maitland family, Bruce noted that his daughter's ATM card, glasses, contact lens case and migraine medication had all been left inside. It was later concluded by law enforcement that foul play was the probable cause of Maitland's disappearance, and a 2007 flyer provided by the FBI stated that the scene at which Maitland's car was discovered may have been staged to appear as an accident. The disappearance of Maura Murray, a college student from Massachusetts in northwest New Hampshire, the month before, was deemed unrelated to Brianna's disappearance by law enforcement, in spite of the events occurring within 90 miles of each other. In the week following Brianna's disappearance, the Vermont State Police received an anonymous tip claiming that she was being held against her will in a house in nearby Berkshire, Vermont, 10 miles from Montgomery. The rented house, then occupied by Raymond L. Ryans and Nathaniel Charles Jackson, two known drug dealers from New York, was raided by police on April the 15th, 2004. Various drug paraphernalia was discovered inside, as well as substantial amounts of cocaine and marijuana, but no sign of Maitland was found. In late 2004, police received a statement from an anonymous older female who implicated both Ryans and Jackson in Maitland's disappearance and alleged murder. The signed affidavit contained graphic allegations that Maitland had been murdered approximately a week after her disappearance. The woman who provided the affidavit claimed that Ryans murdered Maitland during an argument over money she had lent him to purchase crack, and that her body had been temporarily stored in the basement of a recently incarcerated local woman's home. Maitland's body was then allegedly dismembered with a table saw and disposed of on a pig farm. Law enforcement was unable to corroborate the claims in the letter. In 2006, security footage at the Caesars World Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, showed a woman resembling Maitland sitting at a poker table. The woman was never properly identified. In 2012, law enforcement investigated a potential connection between Brianna's disappearance and serial killer Israel Keyes, who committed numerous rapes and murders in Alaska, Oregon, and Washington, as well as in Vermont and New York. The FBI ruled out Keyes' potential connection to Maitland's disappearance in late December 2012, shortly after Keyes committed suicide in Anchorage, Alaska. In March 2016, on the case's 12th anniversary, investigators revealed to a local television station that they had recovered DNA samples from Maitland's car. The results of the DNA tests were not made public. In July 2016, the farmhouse where Maitland's vehicle was discovered was destroyed in a fire.